Alright, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, welcome to video lesson 4-2, our second lesson in chapter 4 on the unit circle. Okay, let's just review one thing for 1 second here, real quick. You should remember that back in geometry you learned SOHCAHTOA, which helps us remember our sine, cosine, and tangent trigonometric functions. Sine is always opposite over hypotenuse, sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if I have a triangle right here, and this is my theta, so let's get a pen back, and we'll mark that as our theta. If this is our theta, this is our opposite leg, this is our adjacent leg, and this is our hypotenuse. Sine is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is going to be opposite over adjacent, and we're going to learn these soon. Or we will review these soon. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it's hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. And cotan is adjacent over opposite. And these are all ratios. Okay, so the unit circle. The unit circle is defined as a circle with a radius 1, and its origin, its center, is at the origin of the xy graph. So this point right here is 0, 0. Okay, so if we look here now, I'm going to label, here's our angle. Oh, that was horrible. That's right. Here's our angle. This is our theta. Okay, I'm going to call this point right here x, comma, y. Which means I can now draw a triangle. I'll do that in red. Where this length right here is going to be x. The horizontal length is x, because we know that x is the horizontal. This length right here is y, because it's the vertical. And our radius, as we just said, by definition is 1. So therefore now, sine, which is opposite over adjacent, is going to be the opposite, y over 1, which equals y. So sine is always the y. Cosine is going to be the adjacent, x over hypotenuse, which is x. And tangent is going to be sine, or y, over x, which is y over x. Okay. The cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. It's 1 over y. The secant is the reciprocal of cosine, which is 1 over x. And cotan, of course, is the reciprocal of tangent, which is going to be x over y. And that will always be true for any ordered pair on the unit circle. Okay, make sure you have these in your notes. This is just to remind you of our special right triangles. Muy importante. That's very important in Spanish. Okay, muy importante to know your special right triangles. If you know your special right triangles, you have no reason to ever mesmerize the unit circle. But in the 36, 60, 90 right triangle, we have a 30, a 60, and a 90. We have 1 opposite the 30. We have root 3 opposite the 60. We have 2 opposite the right angle. And in your 45, 45 right triangle, we have 1, 1, and root 2 is the hypotenuse. So our legs are 1, and our hypotenuse is root 2. Notice written here in green in the 30, 60, 90. These are our radians of our angles. So 30 is pi over 6. 60 is pi over 3. 90, of course, is pi over 2. And in our 45, 45, 90 right triangle, 90 is pi over 2, and our 45s are pi over 4. Make sure you get those down into your notes. Also, just to remind you, make your life much easier, our Pythagorean triples. We have the 3, 4, 5 right triangle, 5, 12, 13 right triangle, 8, 15, 17, 7, 24, 25, 9, 40, 41. This won't come up too often, but if you remember it, fantastico. There are an infinite number of Pythagorean triples, but these ones you should definitely know to make your life easier. Okay, don't make this mistake on test, but when you are computing sine, cosine, and tangent on the calc, make sure you are in the right mode. Your default mode is radians, okay, but oftentimes we're going to be working in degrees, so just make sure that you are in the right mode, and we'll go over in class how to change your mode if you don't remember, okay. Cosecant, secant, and cotan are the reciprocals of sine, cosine, and tangent. So we're going to use the reciprocal button to compute those, because the calculator does not have a cosecant, secant, or cotan button. Okay, let's try this problem right here. It's numero 10. That's number 10 in Spanish. Okay, we're going to find the sine, cosine, and tan, cosecant, secant, and cotan of an angle, theta, whose point, we call that sometimes t, right? On the unit circle is 12 13ths, comma 5 13ths. Don't forget now that our radius is 1. Okay, so I'm going to draw a first quadrant triangle right here again. This is 5 13ths. This is 12 13ths. Of course, this is now a 5, 12, 13 right triangle, so this is going to be 13 13ths, which we now can see our radius is 1. So our sine is going to be opposite over adjacent, 5 13ths over 12 13ths, which of course is just 5 13ths, and we notice that that is our y. Cosine is going to be our x, which is 12 13ths. Tan is going to be our y over our x, so I'll do this down here, 5 13ths over 12 13ths. When dividing fractions, don't ask why. Flip the bottom one over and multiply. So we can see now, I can cancel the 13ths. My tangent is 5 over 12. The cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, 13 over 5. The secant is the reciprocal of cosine, 13 over 12. And last but not least, kind of like me at the party, is the cotan, reciprocal of tan, 12 over 5. Okay, in this guy right here, we're going to find our trigonometric functions of t equals negative 4 pi over 3. That is our angle. So we're going to open actually now in the negative direction, which is clockwise, negative 4 pi over 3. So we're going to go around, which is negative 1 1/3 pi. There's 1 pi, and now we're going to go 1/3 pi, which is right there. We should know that that is an angle of 60 in degrees, so my triangle in green is right here. It's a second quadrant triangle. So I'm going to just draw a bigger second quadrant triangle up here. Second quadrant triangle, this angle is pi over 3 or 60. So I know that now that this is root 3, this is 2, and this is 1, but I'm just going to make it negative since we're in the second quadrant. If I divide everything by 2, I'm going to put my triangle on the unit circle. Now notice that our hypotenuse is now 1. So cosine is going to equal, let me get a different color, green. Our cosine is going to equal y, which is positive root 3 over 2. Our cosine is x, which is negative 1 over 2. Our tangent is y over x, which is root 3 over 2 over negative 1/2, which is root 3 over neg 1, which of course is neg root 3. Our cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, 2 over root 3, multiplied by root 3 over root 3. We have 2 root 3 over 3. Our secant is the reciprocal of negative 1/2, which of course is neg 2. And our cotan is the reciprocal of the tangent, which was negative root 3. So it's 1 over neg root 3, which now becomes multiplied by the reciprocal. Multiplied by root 3 over root 3. We have negative, this negative right here, negative root 3 over 3. All right, our last problem. T is equal to pi, so our angle is equal to pi. Now this one's different because we're actually going to land on a axis. So we can't draw a triangle because it doesn't exist. But we're going to think about our ordered pair on the unit circle. Okay. Pi, of course, is 180. So I opened up 180. There I am. Okay. So my ordered pair right here is going to be negative 1, 0. Sine, of course, now is equal to the y, which is 0. Cosine is equal to x, which is negative 1. Notice when I do not have a triangle, I must use the fact that sine is equal to y. Cosine is equal to x. And tan is equal to y over x. So sine is equal to y, 0. Cosine is equal to x, negative 1. Tan is equal to y over x, which is 0, over neg 1, which equals 0. Cosecant is the reciprocal of 0. 1 over 0, of course, is infinity or undefined. Secant is the reciprocal of negative 1. 1 over neg 1 is also neg 1. And our cotan is the reciprocal of 0, undefined. All right, boys and girls, that's it. We'll see you soon. Have a great night.